Okay, so hey folks, Steve here, back again with another Dark Sands video. Going to be looking at doing turns 6 and 7 in this video. I'm also going to be trying very hard to increase my pace and get through these turns much more quickly, so that you're not sitting here watching a 2-hour video. So getting right into it, I already drew the replacement chits for turn 6. The Axis got some infantry replacements for the Germans and 2 replacements for the Italians. What we did with those replacements was that the Germans were already topped off, so that was a wasted replacement point for them. And the Italians actually were able to repair some of their forces, but they still can't really make use of a lot of things. They got 2 replacements. They really only had 1 unit that was reduced, and so that was the best that they could do. And then for the Allies, they got a tank replacement and 2 infantry. And so what we did with that was that, and the way the order goes is first you save replacements, or they're added to the saved replacements, and then you use them. At least that seems to be the way it's laid out in the rules. Randomly draw a chit, add any saved replacements to the replacement chit count, and apply replacements. So I guess the way I'm interpreting that is that we could use the Allied armor replacement without having to spend any of the already saved ones, which meant that there was a Allied tank that could be replaced and was. That was one in Tobruk, but there's another injured or disrupted, or whatever you want to, not disrupted, reduced Allied tank unit that has a unreplaceable dot on it, so we couldn't actually improve that. So we made use of the tank replacement point. We still have 3 in the bank to hold on to. And then with the 2 infantry replacements, what we did was we repaired or flipped some units that were out. One out in the front in the region near Bardia, and then we flipped the unit that we had rebuilt last turn to full strength. And I figure that's better to repair or beef up the units that are already on the board than to spend those points building new units and then have them come on the board disrupted and that whole thing. So we're past that, and now we can look at the activation chits for turn 6. It's kind of an interesting situation that I'm not sure. I guess I'd have to go compare what was going on. There's not a lot of counters here, so if we're looking at this is actually the September of 1941. I'm not sure. I mean, Barbarossa's happened, so I'm not sure if that's what's the cause here. But you can see there's just a whole lot less chits to work with. So the British get their reinforcement chit, of which they're going to get a decent number of reinforcements coming onto the board, but they only get 2 crappy two crappy ore chits. So they could do 2 half moves, they could do 2 combats -1, they could do 1 of each, but that's it. They really only get 2 actions in the whole cup draw. So the Allies are just in trouble because they're not in a great game position, and what they really need to do is bring up some of those reinforcements and just sort of prep a better defensive line. But they're barely going to have an opportunity to do that, and they're really going to be reliant on those half moves to get into position. So it's just a troubling situation for the Allies in the great scheme of things. But of course, the Axis doesn't have a whole lot either. They only have their own reinforcement chit, of which they're going to get some reinforcements, but not a lot. And then they've got their Rommel chit that they can put into play and could be valuable, could be useful. And then they have their Africa Corps and the 21st Italian Corps chits. And that's it. There's not any even normal moves or combats for the Axis. So that means that certain units probably aren't going to be activated at all on the Axis side. So we have to be very careful with how we play this turn. There's just a lot of constrained options for our operational goes of it. And unfortunately, looking ahead a little bit, it appears that turn 7 is going to be very similar, and we're almost going to have the exact same chit allotment. So we're just going to have to work our way through it. Unfortunately for the Allies, or fortunately, I'm not sure how I want to look at that, it does appear that they are going to have initiative again, so they will pick their first chit to go into the cup. They're going to have to decide what they want to do about that. Probably try to form a better line, and so they'll likely do the half move. So we'll go off and we'll come back once they've done that. So yeah, I'm pretty confident we're going to do the half move, and we'll see what happens. Okay, I'm going to bring us up to show what we've done here. Firstly, we started moving some units as I could west, and I used some naval movement. So I moved some units out of the Bardia port. I shipped some in. I sort of reshuffled a few units around, and what I'll do is I'll bring this up a little bit. I really want to avoid that glare for you guys, so most of the action is going to be right here for a while. So I've sort of, I want to watch and protect the desert road here. I moved the units out of that kill box back. The ridges surrounding those units, both to the north and south, should constrain the German units so that they can't attack from that many different hex sides. Put these units out here just to kind of help screen the desert road so that they can't be cut out of supply. And obviously, some units I couldn't get quite further because it's only a half move. But I was at least able just to maneuver some units around a little bit better. I think I've got most of it covered. Now, the one thing I've got to watch out for as the Allies is that the the German panzer units do have their infiltration movement, but it does take a lot of their movement to do that. So I think at least for the moment we've set up a decent enough screen and enough Zocs to at least hold them back, depending on what they can actually put forth to attack with. So that's pretty good, and we'll go ahead and put the rest of the chits in the cup, and we'll do our first draw. Now, we could see if Rommel wants to go. I'm not sure what their move would be. Those ridges certainly are going to be an issue. And it's not just ridges, we have escarpments there, so a ridge stops Zocs, but an escarpment even prevents movement, so it could be a major issue. The ridge is going to have attack penalties, so we could still try to get at this unit from a couple hexes, but it's going to be a dicey move, so we will go ahead and just pull the chit and we'll see what happens. We've got German reinforcements. Okay, well, I've got to clip some counters and get that ready, so I'll be back when they're done. Okay, so the German reinforcements have come in. I was able to bring one unit in on the Africa Corps HQ. It is of the 90th Division, which doesn't hook in with any of the other 15th or 21st Panzer divisions, which would be great, but that's okay. We did get some Italian units as well, and one was able to get onto the HQ unit there near Tobruk, and then the rest had to go as usual. I could get a few into, actually I guess I could get all three of these guys into Benghazi. So if I make sure I get that right. Yeah, so we were able to get some units, and of course, there's a little bit of a glare, but some units here. And so we're still bringing, there's a variety of units that need a movement chit to get going, and unfortunately, until a normal movement chit or some other activation can get them moving, they're going to be stuck back in Libya, which may not be a totally bad thing, I guess, just to cover our bases, but we really needed to bring them forward so that we can deal with the Allies, but such is life. Okay, so we're going to pull the next chit, and the next chit is logistics, and I think at the moment all units are good on logistics, so nothing too crazy there. We'll go ahead and draw the next chit. It is the 21st Italian HQ. Let me take a quick poke around. Kind of interesting. We could keep trying to hit on Tobruk, but I don't think it's going to get us anywhere, at least not until 1942. I just try to look. We could attack with 7. Yeah, that's not going to work. That's not going to work. And the ones that we activate have to be within range of the HQ, which that's just not going to work. We could move some units, we could shuffle some around. But I just don't see what we can do there, unfortunately, which is just a real bummer. That's a real bummer. It's just that the Italian organization is just not very good because they're all in these big division level counters, but the actual attack strength isn't great. The defense strength's okay, so we can keep Tobruk kind of holed up for the moment, but it's not as good as it could be or even should be. The only other thing we would maybe look at is if we were rolling really unfortunate odds, we might be able to get some attrition hits on them, but I don't think that's worthwhile. We just can't replace the Italians like the British can move. So I think that's as good as we can go at the moment. Okay. What we can do is we can move all other Italian units 1 hex, which, for that at least, I guess, isn't an absolutely terrible idea. So maybe we'll do this. So that we can at least start building that road. Still need another unit there by the end of the turn, but that should be easy. Okay, so just up there, we shuffled some units around. We're also shuffling some units along. So at least get the Italians moving. We probably, move that guy up. We want to keep these guys down here right where they're at because they're sort of defending a critical desert road junction point. But when we can actually get a real activation for them, they'll probably be racing off to try to knock these guys out down here. Okay, 21st Corps activation is over. We will draw the next chit. And it is... of course it is. It is the British reinforcements. And we are going to have what looks like some replacements going on. And some other new units coming in. So I'm going to have to stop recording here for a bit and work out where these units are going to go. So I'll be right back. Okay, so I got the reinforcements done. We actually had a couple of interesting things. The orange Indian unit that was eliminated for the Allies earlier was withdrawn. It'll later come back in a later turn, even though it was destroyed previously. We also have some exchanges, so several, to make sure I read that right, Australian units were replaced by, it must be British units, I'm not sure. So we had some Australian units pulled out. One of them was eliminated, which means it's exchanged unit. It has to be placed like a brand new unit. But the other two were in Tobruk, and so they were placed here in Tobruk, replacing those units. And the one thing just to note is that they were a little bit weaker in terms of defense factors than the Australian units that left. So still not a huge deal because the defense in Tobruk is still very powerful, but just something we need to keep an eye on. We're just going to not be quite as strong there as we were before. We also got some South African units, and I've placed them in Mersa Matra so that they can head east. They're 3 units, all part of the same division. And then we also got a new tank unit there, as well as another infantry unit, and they're in Alexandria. We'll probably move them by naval movement when we get a chance, or we get another chance. And we're actually now getting to the point where we have enough force that, I think when the next chit comes up for the Allies, we may just have them do a half move again and just try to get all of these units in a better line, use some of that naval movement to get folks pulled into Bardia and move the units in Bardia out into the line and just actually create sort of a line here with various units. I think it's possible we could do that now. We have enough forces sort of flooding into the game now with the Allies. We could possibly do it. All right, so we're going to pull the next chit. Next chit is logistics, and again, no folks have been out of supplies, so now for the rest of the turn, if we want to eliminate units, it's going to be via combat. Accidentally had a reinforcement chit still in the cup from before. Okay. Well, so we've still got our Rommel chit waiting in the wings, and the next chit is either going to be the Africa Corps chit or the Allied chit. What we may want to do is we may want to use the Rommel chit now and just I don't know. It is tough. It's a tough choice here. We're really limited in what we can do, unfortunately. If we let the Allies go as the Germans, they're going to try to reform their line, and we may not want to do that. I think we are going to play the Rommel chit here and just try to see if we can eliminate some units before the Allies can regroup the units that are out there now. I think I would want to move this stack. And we could try to hit here, though it'd be a bit dicey. I don't see why we can't try. So we'll move up like so, and well, yeah, this is tough. There's some other options we could try to take, but I think we need to push back that unit so we can actually get into Bardia properly. Yeah, so we will, let's see, have this guy move here, these guys move here, and then they'll attack. Now across that ridge is going to be 1 attack factor less, but it will allow us to take a loss against that unit instead of our tank unit. So I'm going to zoom in. We can watch this a little bit. So, and well, I'll also just, well, I'll leave the H. Well, okay. Let's just pretend for a second the HQ's here, but I'm not going to put it there until after the combat's over, just so we can get a clear run through this. So we are going to attack here. Now, because of the congestion, it's going to be 2 attacking units and 2 defending units. So the Allies are going to pick their best units available. So a defense factor of 9. And the Germans are going to attack with 16. Now there are anti-tank factors here. And so, well, let me double check the... We don't get the Panzer Shock. Defending tank factors are 1, 2 to 4. If we don't include the, if we, yeah, see, that's tough. To understand what I'm getting at, so we're attacking with 16 factors. If the Allies defend with those top 2 units, the 458 and the 546, they can either have 9 combat factors, so 16 to 9, that's still 1-to-1 odds. But if the Germans toss in some of their own support, they could actually get up to 20 to 9. And then the Allies could toss in, yeah, boy, yeah, it's going to be kind of dicey either way. But if instead the Allies defended with, say, the top infantry unit in that tank, or maybe both tank units, that would be 6. So 18 to 6 is then, or 16 to 6 is 2-to-1 odds, and we'd still probably get some bonuses. So I think it's better to leave that tank unit out of it. Okay, that's what we'll do. We'll defend with the top 2 full strength units and the 2. Oh, and I forgot about these guys actually. So it's 16. This guy has 1 less factor attacking across that ridge, so 3. So it's 19. It's actually 19. 19 to 9. That's 2-to-1 odds. And then we'd have a +2 due to Panzer superiority. +2, I mean, that's pretty good. And again, if we swapped it for the 2 tanks, then we'd be saying 19 to 6. That's 3-to-1 odds with a +1. I wonder what's better. 2-to-1 with a +2, or 3-to-1 with a +1. Yeah, I think we'd rather have it be 2-to-1. So we'll leave the tank out. There's still a tank unit here. What we will do is we'll provide this unit with an anti-tank, so that it becomes 20. So then it would be 20 to 9. No, I'm sorry, it would be 21 to 9. 21 to 9. If they put in all of their air, it would be 12. So I think what we would want to do as the Germans would be, let's see, it's like spending up all of our resources, but I think it's worth it here. Yeah, you know what? I think we should. Alright, so we're going to do that. We're going to add it to one of the tanks here. And then we're also going to fly in German support. So altogether, that's going to add another 3. That's 24. And what that basically means is even if the Allies threw all of their aircraft into this combat, it will still only be 12. So it'll still be 2-to-1 odds. And so they'll hold off. I guess they'll hold off. It would be a waste to use, because the defender can choose to use assets after the attacker. It would be a waste for the Allies to use their air force here. And it's kind of weird. Something I'm noticing now in the game system is if the attacker is bringing up enough attacking forces and has dedicated their assets to the point that, you know, there's no point in you adding your assets because it's not going to help. It could mean the defender's just never using their assets, but then maybe that gives the opportunity for that player to then use their assets on the attack when the first player has run out of their assets. So I don't know, there's sort of that back and forth of how you want to use your assets. So it doesn't make sense here now for the Allies to use their air force. And it is going to be 24-9. That's 2-to-1 odds. Yeah, 2-to-1 odds, and we do have a +2 modifier for having more anti-tank present. They have 2 steps, we have 4 steps. So, yeah, this will be interesting. So 2-to-1 with a +2. Roll a 4, so +2 is 6. So that is a defender retreats and takes a step loss. Which I think that's about as good as one could ever really get. And unfortunately, that does mean that this Allied tank has to take the step loss. It's another non-replaceable, and this whole stack will have to retreat 4 hexes. And so 1, 2, 3, I guess 4 is the one that makes the most sense. These guys are used up. And let's say they advance after combat. Oops. There we go. And, oh, that's right, I still have this doesn't go away. And we can actually stack all of this in 1 hex again, and I think we'll go ahead and just do that for the moment. Well, unless it's going to be better, it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to get here. So on their next move, I think they'll just stay like that. It might have been bunched up a little bit now, too much in this area, but good enough. Okay, well, that helped a little bit. And now we'll draw, and we got that Allied half move. They don't have any units that can be used to attack, so they're going to go ahead and do the movement. I think what they'll do is move these units up. You can see what I'm doing, and then I'm going to naval move these guys to here. Then say 1, 2, 3, and we'll do 1, 2.5. These guys will have moved. 1, 2. Okay, so I think what we've done is created a roadblock in front of Bardia. We've also got additional units that are sort of covering different areas, and additionally have a nice little setup here to block most of the paths around the area, and they're all decently strong units. We still have the South Africans and another unit that are kind of bringing up the rear, but I think we're doing okay there. We'll probably end up moving some units navally into Solemn, but I think we're at least advantageous in the Allies in that we're able to pull all of our units now up front well, and that's it. Okay, and then the final chip for this turn is the Africa Corps, and we'll have to decide how we want to work that. Africa Corps, again, we allow the movement of the 5th and 21st Panzer Divisions and any one Italian divisional formation in range of the Africa Corps HQ. Now, unfortunately, I've ended up moving too many units out of range of the Africa Corps HQ, so the Italian divisional formation won't be able to move, but the 5th and 21st Panzers ought to be able to. So I'm going to stop recording and I'll figure out what I want to do with this. Okay, so I moved some units up. Now, the only thing that's a little dangerous here is that we could end up having some units next turn try to come up this way, but I think we will have done enough damage here that it'll work okay. I'm probably not going to attack with that unit. And in fact, honestly, maybe it's better I just hold this guy back. I don't think I want to antagonize and open up that line too much. We kind of need it a little bit more. I think maybe if I move him like that, that actually should seal up the Zoc situation. And what we're really going to do is we're going to focus attacks on this stack of Indian units there, and then these Polish units up here. And what we're going to do is we're just going to have this stack only attack, because we can't move this unit, unfortunately. It's not in the Africa Corps activation, but these two stacks of units can attack here. And I believe we're going to get a lot of the Panzer shock benefits in that combat as well. So we're just I guess I'll do the bottom one first. You know, it makes the most sense. So the defenders have 4, 8, 12 defensive factors. We're attacking with, let's see, 10, 12, and the Panzer unit is going to actually get doubled to 16. So if we have 10, 12, plus another 16, that's 28. So 28 to 12, that's 2-to-1 odds. And probably, just to make sure, see, it would be 28 to 12. They'd have to add 3, which they could do with the RAF. And so we'll go ahead and this is okay by the rules. Apparently, again, the Italian Reggio Aero can be used to support the Germans, which is a little strange, but okay. +1 to make that 29, which means that even if let me make sure I get that right. So 12, 16, 28, 29. Oh, actually, no, I don't know. To explain my thinking here, so 16, 18, 28, 28 to 12, right? If he wanted it to not be 2 to 1 odds, that 12 would need to go to 15. So that 2 times 15 is 30. 29 is not 30, so you end up with 1 to 1 odds instead of 2 to 1 odds. The British could send all of their RAF in, and the Italian air wouldn't matter. But the Germans are still going to get a +2 to the die roll no matter what, because of the Panzer superiority. So in terms of that, 2 to 1 versus 1 to 1. I mean, I do think that the Allies want to defend that, so they will put in the defense necessary for it to only be a 1 to 1 die roll. So we're doing 1 to 1 with a +2 to that die roll. Okay, well I rolled a 6, so +2 on a 1 to 1 is a defender retreat star, so they will have to take a step loss and retreat 4 hexes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, so they'll pop back there, I guess. And I don't think we'll advance after combat. I'm pretty sure that's a choice. I could be wrong. Maybe I need to be advancing after combat every time. But I thought that was a choice. May advance. Okay, yeah. And we don't want to necessarily, because we might open ourselves up to being outmaneuvered. So we're not going to advance after combat. We hit them with the loss, and that's it. Then for the other combat up here, this anti-tank won't help us, because this stack does not have tanks, so we can at least set it aside. Well, it's also the end of the turn, so I'll just take it off the map. Same thing with this other one. So here, similarly, we're talking... the only problem is if we take any losses, it's going to hurt our tank situation. We have 16 factors, because they're doubled. Oh, you know what? It's rough. Rough terrain just gives them an extra defense factor. Okay, so they don't get the double, so we may not actually want to attack. So we'll only have 16 combat factors against 9. And 16 factors against 9. We'd still have a +2 die roll modifier on a 1 to 1. Yeah, okay. We'll do it. We'll take some risks here, because we want to put the pressure, we want to keep the pressure up on the Allies and don't want to let go. So and deal as much damage as we can. So they have 9 combat factors. We have 16. Nothing we could add would make a difference here. Well, actually, that's not true. That's not true. We could add both our air forces to add 2 more, so that would be 18 to 9. That's 2 to 1 odds. the Allies don't have any more assets they can add, so it's 2-to-1 odds and a +2 to the die roll. Hopefully, if we roll a 6 here, that's actually going to be huge. I only rolled a 4. It's to a 6, so that's a defender retreats. Defender retreats and takes a step loss, so they'll take their step loss. And they're going to have to retreat. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and I guess they end up in solemn. And then these units will advance after combat. And that's the end of that. So we'll flip all the assets. There's no attrition to worry about here. Victory check, no big deal. We're going to do the die roll for the rail advance. And we rolled a 5, so that's 3 hexes. So we get 1, 2, 3. So we're getting further. That's nice. I'm sorry, center map is 6. We actually get 3 more. 1, 2, 3. So the railhead is nearly to the front lines. So it's now down here, just coming around that ridge bend, and we'll be at the front line of the main combat around Bardia and Solemn very soon. Okay, so disruption removal, we didn't have any of that. Asset availability, we'll return that to the fold, so that's all well and good. Double checking, looking around the map. Okay, I think that's the end of turn 6, and we will go into, we'll go into turn 7, just coming up. Okay, going into turn 7, I drew the replacement chits. The Axis actually couldn't use any of theirs because all of their units, again, at the moment, are all pretty much topped off and they're good to go. So, not much to be said there. The Allies are maxed out on their tank replacements, but they were able to use their 1 infantry replacement, and they went and used that to refresh the Polish unit, infantry unit that had just been hurt and had been backed out into Solemn. Something I'm realizing here is while the Allies can live pretty happily on their replacement rate at the moment, they also are going to be getting just a heck ton more reinforcements. They're just going to have a lot on the board, and it's no signs of stopping. For the next couple of turns, this turn, turn 8, turn 9, turn 10, there's going to be a number of units coming on the board, and some that are going to be removed, so maybe it's not all great. But for the Axis, they don't get any more reinforcements until turn 11, all the way in 4 turns from now, and even then, that reinforcement's only another HQ unit. So what's really scary, I think, now for the Axis is I need to make sure that the Axis is using all of its forces very intelligently and activating them accordingly to do what really needs to be done, and I need to start thinking about how to do it better. So, like when the Africa Corps chit comes up and I'm not activating an Italian division because there's not one nearby, I need to do something about that. I really need to figure out a way to get some of these units moved up so that they're within range of the HQ, or move the HQ so that there is it's a little bit easier for its range to go out. So I don't know. That's going to be the challenge, I think, for the Axis now, is how do they make the most out of the units that are still on the board against the overwhelming tide of the Allies. Now, I talked about this a little bit earlier, but the turn 7 chits are very bare bones. Very bare bones, in fact. And we're going to have to be pretty careful how we move forward. So, again, the Germans don't get any reinforcements, but they do get the Africa Corps and the HQ 21st Corps, which, again, is still going to be limiting us pretty severely. And the Allies get a reinforcement chit, and then they get 2 of those crappy moves or crappy combats, and they get to pick one or the other as they come up. So it's not like either force really has a whole lot of options here. I think the way what I feel like the Axis is going to want to do is maybe try to play the Rommel chit early, try to get the HQ in a situation where maybe the HQ can move to get some of these Italian units going. It's just going to be really hard, so we're going to have to see what happens. But again, the Allies have initiative, so they're going to get to pick their chit, and I imagine they're probably going to want to pick that half move. But we'll come back when they've done that. Okay, so the Allies elected to use their half move, and we just sort of made some minor adjustments here. And I moved some units up, and then we've sort of created just a really strong line here of a lot of units stacked together. I think Bardia may fall no matter what I do, but I've basically provided them as, you know, if I lose Bardia but retain everything else, we're still in good shape. So I've sort of set up that line, and I'm hoping maybe next turn as the Allies, we may be able to hit the Germans pretty hard. The one option was going to be maybe attack here, but I just don't see where I could get. I mean, the attack factors just wouldn't be enough to be worthwhile, I don't think. So I think we play defensively. Because the thing is, next turn, on turn 8, the Allies will actually get some better activation chits, and it would have begun the historical Crusader operation. And so the activation chit schedule kind of lends itself to that, where it is much better for the Allies. So if they can hold here, survive, and then get those good chits next turn, they're going to have a preponderance of force, hopefully, to really take out some of these Germans and open up a way now to relieve Tobruk. That would be their goal here, so that's what we've got. I will put the rest of the chits in the cup, and we will see what we get. Now, all the Allies can get are crappy combat now, so really it's just a question about what comes up and what the Axis can try to do in the meantime. And we got... Allied reinforcements. Well, that didn't take long. So I'm going to take some time. I'm going to go get the reinforcements ready, and we'll be back. Okay, so we did the reinforcements, and really all of them ended up having to go on the east map. We got some more of the South Africans coming in. We also have a returning Indian unit and a tank brigade. And so we will look to naval move them up later when we can. But it won't be until probably next turn at this point. Okay, so we'll go back to the chits. Now the one question would be, is now a time to use the Rommel chit? Yeah, it could be a good time to do it. Yeah, you know, I think what we would like to try to do is use the Rommel chit and have a stack try to take Bardia. Yeah, so let's do that. Let's talk about doing that. we're gonna play the Rommel chit. Well, we'll think about playing the Rommel chit. I'm going to take us off recording. I'm going to analyze the situation. I think the reason why I would want to do the Rommel chit now is to try to take Bardia, and then in the future activations with the Africa Corps and 21st Corps, that just gives us an opportunity to start coming down towards Solemn and sort of shorten our effective line a little bit. So I'll be right back. Well, one unfortunate thing is I realized that stack immediately west of Bardia is actually comprised of two different divisional formations. There's 15th and 21st present. I didn't co-locate these divisional segments. I probably could have if I planned a little bit better, but planned better operationally, but you live and you learn, I guess, here. And so I can't activate multiple different hexes at this point to do what I really would like to be able to do. Not without putting my units at risk. What I don't want to do is leave my units open to have their supply lines cut, so I still have to kind of maintain a careful setup of where my units are placed. So I'm just going to have to attack one stack to one stack. My goal here would be just to force units to retreat, but like if I did the 21st, I could, well, see, the problem with Bardia is that if they need to retreat, they can retreat southeast and then down and away because of the ridge lines protecting Zox. But at least getting him out of there would help. Now, I could potentially try to infiltrate move, but, oh no, I can't because of the terrain is rough, not clear. So, yeah, this just puts us in a tough position. We may end up losing some units unless I want to use the Rommel chit to do something a little bit different. But yeah, you know what? We're going to hold off on the Rommel chit for now, and we'll just see what comes out of the cup. Okay, so we pulled Africa Corps, which isn't that much better in terms of what we would like to do, but it gives us a little bit more freedom to activate. Our problem is that we still don't have Italians in range of our HQ, but of course that might change. We also have access to the 21st and 1st Corps here. So I think what we're going to try to do is we're going to move this unit here, and they can spend the extra movement to infiltrate move. Oh, we can't infiltrate move. Dang it. Alright, we're going to move these units up. So these guys are all involved in the combat. And in terms of other movement, I don't think there's much more we can do at the moment with the Africa Corps activation, unfortunately. So this just gets back to that operational placement of units. We just don't have what we would actually really like to have. And so we will do the attack where we can over here. So it's going to be 8 combat factors defending. The rough also gives the defenders another defensive factor, and the fort gives a defensive factor, so that's 8. We're attacking with 16, 26, but we are, let's see, does the road, I think we still have to deal with the ridge. And the ridge is -1 AF per attacker, so it's actually, let's see, 14, 21, 22 to 10, so that's 2 to 1. There are tanks here. So, let's see, that is a coastal. So if the Allies wanted to put everything in, they could add 5 to their 10 to make it 15. And in order to keep it at 2 to 1, we'd need to be able to add, oh boy, 8. And I could maybe get 6 in there. Yeah, get 6 in there. Okay, well the Allies won't do anything, so it's 22 to 10, that's 2 to 1. The Allies will do naval to make it 12. So 22 to 12, that's 1 to 1 odds. And I don't think we could do anything to bring it up above, so it's going to be 1 to 1 odds with, let's see, do we get any bonuses? So we have 6 tank factors against, oh, probably quite a bit. 2 for the defenders. Non-clear terrain, there's 3. Ridge sides included. That's 4, 5. 4, 6. So it is just a straight up die roll, I think, on the 1 to 1. On the 1 to 1, which is a dang shame, but I don't think we can get any better. Alright, 1 to 1. We want a 5 or a 6, ideally. So we got a 6. That is a defender retreat, so this is used up. And these guys need to retreat 4 hexes. They do have a retreat path 1, 2, 3, 4. So they'll retreat back to the Halfaya Pass. These units will advance after combat. This becomes Axis controlled. And, well, we're getting there. We're getting there. Okay, so that was the Africa Corps. We'll go ahead and pull the next chit. Next chit is logistics. Everybody is in supply. So we'll pull the next one. It is the Allied half move or combat. Well, I don't think their combat is going to work out, so we're going to do movement. Things are a little congested here. We already did our naval move, I think, for the turn. Pretty sure we did. I might have that wrong. But we'll get some units moved up here. Oh, you know what? I moved these guys too much. From there. You're not seeing these movements, of course, but they're just very minor moves. Nothing too terribly exciting, just because we don't have an extended move to make. So, slight movements. Some units are moving over there. Units are moving over there. And I don't know, for as good as that was to take Bardia, we still have challenges because we've just got a lot of units. So as soon as Crusader steps off, we might see the Germans really getting hurt severely, so we'll see. Logistics, nothing's going to happen there, and the final chit is going to be the 21st Corps. So we're gonna try something here, because I think I've made a mistake in putting with the HQ where it is. So we'll have each of the other Italian units move 1 hex where possible or where it makes sense to. Let's see, do that and that and that. Oh, I need to keep that one fortified. What I'm going to do is I'm going to be moving, made some slight adjustments here, and I made it so that we can start building the Tobruk Road just in case we need it. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to send the HQ, I'm going to try to get it down here. It's not going to quite work, but we'll try. I'm going to just mess with this movement here off camera. Okay, so I moved the HQ away from Tobruk down here, which means these units down here will be able to activate in the future. And we'll simply leave the guys up at Tobruk in place. There's a chance that they could try to make a breakout in Tobruk, but we have Desert Road supply kind of well in hand, at least at the moment. So we just need to kind of wait for some of these other units to come up and garrison, and we'll build that. We'll start building the road, and we'll be in good shape from there. So, okay, that is the end of the turn. The end of the action. So any attrition? No. Any victory points? No. Building segments, we'll do the rail. No movement for the rail path. And we are now building the Tobruk bypass, though we don't necessarily need it right now. That's more of an investment for the future. There's no disruption. We reset our asset availability. Ended up not really using that many assets, but that's kind of expected. There wasn't a lot of action actually happening here. And then that's it. We're going to move into turn 8, which again would be the beginning of Crusader. It will be Allied Initiative, and we'll end up covering turns 8 and 9 in the next video. So thanks for watching, and we'll catch you later. Okay, I can't close the video yet, because as I was setting up for turn 8 and I was doing replacements, of which we'll get to that in the next video, it won't be consequential for this next action. I forgot about the Rommel chit. We didn't use it, and then we played all the other chits, but we still got to play it. So at the very end of the turn, we're now going to play the Rommel chit, and we're going to choose to activate, I think, the it would probably be the 21st. I think what we want to do is attack these guys here. Yeah, so he's going to come through here. This guy is going to... Well, these guys will stay here, I guess. This guy will move over here. It's a little dangerous leaving that as lightly defended as it is, but I think it'll work. And we will be attacking 2, 4, well, only 2 can defend. So 6 plus 1 for the rough terrain is 7. We're attacking with 10, 23, 23 to 7 is 2 to 1 odds. If we throw in one of these guys, that'll help. So 10 to 23, 25, 25 to 7. Nothing the allies could now put into the combat would be enough to shift that away. So even if we bumped it up to 10, we'd still have 2 to 1 odds. Yeah, 23, 25, 25 to 7. Well, they could make it, knowing it's the end of the turn, they would use both air forces, and I don't think, even if we added in everything else, well, I guess, yeah, we would add everything else in here, right? So we'd add another anti-tank, we'd add in all the planes, and that would get us up to 30. So 30 to 10 is still 3 to 1 odds. There is one anti-tank factor, plus the rough terrain is 2 anti-tank factors versus 4, I want to say that's 4 Axis steps, Panzer steps. So it's still a +2, so it's 3 to 1 with a +2. That's almost certainly going to do very well. 3 to 1 +2. Wow. Okay. So I got a 6 +2 is 8. His defender is eliminated. So the Polish unit goes to the rebuild, and these two units that were sitting there in the hex, the extra unit that didn't participate in combat, I believe, has to take a loss, even with the combat stacking the way it is. Yeah, okay, so that completely wipes out these units, but they were non-replaceable Allied tanks besides the Polish unit. So that actually clears the way now. That's done. These are done. The anti-tanks will end up coming off. Let's get all the assets arranged as such, and we'll advance after combat. And that puts us in a little bit of more interesting of a position. And Solemn is underneath the guns, so to speak. So as Operation Crusader is underway, they're going to have to deal with that. There could be a weak point right here in the German line that might be worth trying to exploit, but the problem is now we've got the Italians, who are just to the west, are now operationally capable with the headquarters. So we're in an interesting dance now. I think that Operation Sunflower in the aftermath did well. The Axis are doing okay and getting to where they want to be. There's still a lot to come. In fact, there's still a lot of reinforcements that haven't been able to get to the front because we're not getting activations that get them to move, which is the real problem. We need a regular move chit, but all we're really getting are these specialty chits where you have to pick the units to advance. So it is tougher to get units out there, but at the moment I think the Axis is doing okay. You know, they're knocking units off the board. They really need to be doing that with all the reinforcements coming in. Tobruk is still there and probably will be at least until turn 10. Turn 10 will be important because the Allies will no longer be able to ignore retreats in Tobruk. So once we get to turn 10, that's when we would really be trying to attack Tobruk, force a retreat, and eliminate all of those units. And then, you know, done is done. So, and then it's a question of the Allies. Do we keep units there and maybe force losses against the Axis, or do we pull those units out of Tobruk so that there's more units to defend Alexandria and the eastern part of the map? It's really going to depend on where the game's at that point. So, anyway, now that is the end of the turn. We'll start looking at turn 8 here in the next video. Thanks for watching.